What's up, YouTube? It's Sonia again. It's been a while since I last made a video, and I just kind of felt compelled to put another one up for you all. Um, this video is really about my Bible collection and kind of talking about Bible translations and the different ones that are out there. This really is for people who are maybe you're looking for a new Bible and you're not sure which one to get. Maybe you've been using one for several years and you've never gotten a new one. You've never gotten a new translation. You've never used a new translation. You've grown up on one translation your entire life and you are maybe kind of looking to venture out and see what else is out there. Hopefully, this video will offer a little bit more insight to you for those of you who are looking to do that, and will give you more information on what maybe you should look into getting. So my thing is I've seen several people who have talked to me about different Bible translations or different types of Bibles. And some people have just used the same Bible their entire life. They don't even know that there's tons of other translations out there. Some of them may be KJV only believers, people who only believe that the KJV Bible is the best one to use. I'm here to tell you that it's not. The KJV, or the King James Version of the Bible, is not the oldest translation. It's not even the most accurate. So if that's news to you, do some research. Don't take my word for it. It's not. King James is a good translation. It is a pretty accurate translation for the most part. There are some things about how it reads that I'm not too fond of. That and the really old English is very hard to understand, very hard to read. It is very poetic in how it flows, so I do like that about the King James. But if you're interested in reading these and thous and arts and so on, you don't really want to read that one. You want to read maybe one that's a little bit more modern. So I'm not knocking the King James. I think it is a good translation, but it's not one that I use anymore because I don't like the way it reads. It's too wordy. It's old, very old English, very dense to understand. Now the New King James, on the other hand, is a little bit better. It still sort of reads in some places sort of like the King James, but it does have a better readability. I like the way it reads in a lot of cases, so the New King James is a good translation, and I do use the New King James from time to time, and I do like that version. But the original King James version, and it actually kind of bugs me sometimes when I run across people who only use that translation. I'm like, there's so many other ones out there, and there's other ones out there that are actually more accurate than the King James. So, I just encourage you, if you are someone who's only used the King James, there's nothing wrong with using the King James, but I just would encourage you, look at some other translations like the ESV or the NASB, which is actually the most literal translation on the market, they argue right now, unless you get an actual interlinear Bible, which translates directly from the Hebrew to the English, and it's parallel right there in front of you. So I definitely encourage you, look at some other translations like the ESV, the NASB. If you're concerned more so with accuracy, NASB is more accurate, and there's also Messianic translations, there's interlinear translations, so there's definitely translations that are more catered to the Jewish side of the audience and with more accuracy there, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later with my Bibles. But I just encourage you, look at that, look at some other translations. King James is not the only one to use. You may be comfortable with that, but and that's perfectly fine, but I just say broaden your horizons and look at some other ones too. Actually, the King James isn't even the oldest version of the Bible. If you do your research, do your history. I was a history major, so I love history. The Geneva Bible actually was the book of the Bible of the Pilgrims. It came out before the King James Version. King James was just the first one to really standardize the Bible, and it became the ubiquitous version that we know it to be. But the Geneva Bible came out before that, and there were Bible translations even before them. So that is not the only version. It's not even the earliest version. So do your research, do your homework. Don't take my word for it. So I guess we'll start looking at some of my Bibles, and I'm going to put down in the comment section for those of you who just want to go to a specific Bible translation, specifically where you can fast forward in the video if you don't want to hear me rambling on for several minutes. So one thing that I will say is I have definitely multiple different versions of Bibles. I look at different versions for different reasons. You can use a particular version for a certain season of your life, for a certain tool, like study features, translation. There's different ways that you can use different translations, and you can use them for different periods of your life. You don't have to specifically just use just one translation. You can use multiple ones. And I do that in my study. I use multiple translations for various purposes. So one of the ones that, since we're talking about King James, the ESV Bible, and this is actually a new one I just got. It's a purple ESV Bible. I think I got this from Crossway. It was made by Crossway, the Crossway folks. It's actually a thin cover. It's like a kind of a cardboardy cover. That's not the right word to describe it, but it's not leather. It's paper cover, paper bag. It does have some double column pages, and I don't think, yeah, this one doesn't have red lettering. So this is just a kind of standard paperback copy of the ESV Bible. It's the English Standard Version of the Bible. So this is a very accurate version of the Bible. Some are arguing that it's probably the most accurate, the most literal. So on the spectrum of Bibles, you have, literal translations, which are word for word. The translators kind of focus on translating the Bible word for word, finding an English word to specifically match that Hebrew or Greek. And they don't like to change the syntax of the sentence because they think that that's altering the text too much. So they try to do exactly word for word. They may make it shift it a little bit to make it a little bit more readable, but that's their key focus. Problem with that is a lot of those translations, like the NASB, even the ESV sometimes, they can be a little wooden and sometimes hard to understand and read because they are word for word literal. NASB is a good version, and I have NASBs as well, but it's not my favorite to read because it is hard to read. It is kind of choppy and wooden, so it's not one I like to read very often. I might refer to it in my study from time to time, but it's not my favorite. Good version for those of you who are scholars or academics and you're looking to study the Bible. This is the one I will be giving away, by the way, so anyone who wants this one, let me know in the comments section and send me your address in the email, and I'll just send it to you for free. I actually ordered that one on accident. I didn't mean to get that copy, so it's up for grabs if you want it. First come, first serve. The second one is an ESV Thinline. I've had this one for a few months. I really like the blue paisley design, and forgive the lighting. The lighting is kind of horrible in this video, but this is a blue paisley design. It's a soft kind of leather cover. It is another Crossway Bible, and it's thin. So one of the good things about this Bible is it's very easy to hold. It's light, and you can carry it around with you, and it's portable. It's not too thick in your hands. I don't like really thick Bibles unless I'm just, at home reading, but when I'm walking around, I don't want to carry a really thick Bible. I like it just easy, quick in my hand. So this is really easy to hold and flip through. It's kind of bendable. Sometimes I judge a Bible on its bendability, if you even want to call it that. Something else about this Bible that I like is the red lettering of Christ. Now I know that a lot of Bibles are kind of steering away from that nowadays because they say that they don't want to put the words of Christ above any of the other writings in the Bible because it's all inspired by God. So they don't want to put the words of Christ above all of that, and they want to make sure that the rest of the books and the rest of the words of the Bible are equally important. And I kind of understand that, but at the same time, I really like being able to go to the words of Christ in red. I like that feature. Some of you may not, but that's just me. I happen to like that. So this is the ESV Thinline version, English Standard Version. Now the NIV, the New International Version, a lot of you probably read from. A lot of you are very familiar with the NIV. In fact, a lot of churches use the NIV and sometimes read NIV only. You have KJV only churches and you have like NIV only churches. So, and some churches just read pretty much just only from the NIV. It's a very, very popular translation. The 1984 version people will argue is better than the newer translations of newer editions, like the 2011 and onward, because there's some gender issues with the words. They changed, in sentences where it says, and hello brethren, or hello brothers, they'll change it to hello brothers and sisters to be more politically correct, I guess. That's not really something I like, but a lot of Bibles are kind of doing that to be more accepting or open to women instead of making it seem all male. So I see why, but I don't like, if the text didn't say that, don't change it. That's just my thoughts on it. So, but a lot of Bibles are doing that anyway. But this is actually a newer edition of the NIV, and I believe it is the 2011 version. This is the NIV Thinline. So if you're looking for a Bible that is, like I said, like the ESV Thinline, this is a little bit bigger than the ESV Thinline. So if you're carrying it around, it is a little bit bigger. You do have to, be aware of that, but it's sturdy. This one's even more bendable. I like. You can bend it and shape it and all that stuff. So another good feature about this is it has really big font. So if you like large font, this Bible has large font. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's larger font. It's not as small as the ESV text I just showed you. And I happen to really like large font. There's a lot of features I like about different Bibles, and some Bibles will have certain features that I like. Other Bibles will have other features that I like, but they never all have them just all in one. I have yet to find a Bible that has large print, red lettering, uses the name of Yahweh instead of God, and still sticks pretty true to the accuracy of the text. I don't know if there ever be such a version, but if I was to have a perfect version for myself, that's what I would have, with all those features in it. So this is the NIV Thinline, and this is by Zondervan. So if you're looking for a new NIV Bible, this is a good one to use. It's a leather. It's got the brown, and it's cut off by the black, and the rest of the back is black as well. But I think the brown is a nice accent to the Bible. It kind of sets it apart a little bit. Now, another NIV version that I have is an Elevation Church Bible, and this is orange leather. It's actually distributed by Elevation Church. It's kind of a smaller personal size. It's small and it's thin, and I like that because you can carry it around with you. There's actually a funny story behind that. I'm not technically even supposed to have this because they don't give these out. This isn't something that they give out. They actually just give these out to new believers, but I asked for one, and someone actually was kind enough to send me one. So thank you, Elevation Church. I really enjoy it. It's a very, very soft orange leather. It is the NIV version, and your standard NIV Bible size font as well. There aren't a whole lot of there aren't any special features with this one. There is some red lettering in this Bible as well, which is something I really like. So this is another red lettering Bible, and it has the Elevation Church symbol. So I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Elevation Church, but I love Elevation Church. I visited there. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina. Pastor Stephen Furtick is awesome. So if you've never heard of Elevation Church, I highly encourage you to check them out. Check out some of his sermons. He keeps them all on his website online. And the Bible actually came with this too. It's a notebook. Talk about an awesome little package here. So I love this Bible. It's one of my newest Bibles. I didn't even have to pay anything for this. They just sent me one, and it's great. And I love the feel of the cover as well. So if you are looking for a new Bible, one thing I personally think everyone should have is a small, portable, compact Bible that you can take and throw in your bag and take it with you anywhere you go. If you get on a flight, you throw it in your bag and you go, and you can read on the plane, or you can read in the car, not driving, of course, but as a passenger or something. So you can take it. It fits in. They even have pocket Bibles. So I recommend that everyone have a small compact Bible. You want to have your standard size Bible that I was showing you before, but you also want to have a compact version of the Bible as well. so that you can take it with you and go wherever you need, and you have the Word of God with you, and it's portable, and it's not weighing you down, and it's not really heavy. It's just small and light, and just a really great addition to everything else that you're bringing. So I actually have 3 little small Bibles, and they're 3 different versions. So this is the ESV, and it's made out of a little soft leather. As you can see, it's very small, not very thick either. The downside to this version is that the font is incredibly small. So, if you can't really read small print, you may want to try to get a smaller Bible that has better, I guess, as large a print as possible. Or you can bring reading glasses. I don't have any trouble reading small print. I prefer it to be a little bigger, and so I'm not taking the Bible up to my face like this all the time, but this one has really small print. I would like the print to be just a teeny bit bigger, but it's all good. It's still a very nice little Bible, and this is ESV. One thing about ESV, the English Standard Version, I kind of refer to it as the modern day King James Version. So all of our parents and grandparents grew up on the King James. And still a lot of churches really use the King James and refer to the King James. Now, what you may find in modern day churches now is a lot of churches are turning over to using the ESV. So the ESV is steadily replacing the King James because the King James has been found to have some flaws in translation. And so people are sort of kind of moving away from that slowly. A lot of the younger generation is moving away from the King James. Actually, a lot of people my age don't even use King James anymore. A lot of people my age use the NIV or the NLT or the Message. Now, one thing about the Message, it's a paraphrasing version. It's very easy to read, which is good. It has a cool way of wording things to make it very easy to understand. And I like that about the Message. And I do refer to the Message periodically from time to time. But one thing I will recommend is do not read just from the Message. Pair the Message with another translation of the Bible that is more formally equivalent. You don't want to read just from the Message Bible because it is a paraphrase, and there's a lot of bias that can be had in that translation. So I just say, if you are only using the Message Bible, please get another one. Even if it's a little harder to read, it is more accurate to what the original text actually says, and is not a paraphrase of what someone thinks it said, or what someone wants to interpret as their thoughts. So please use another version besides the Message. The Message is fine to use paired with other more formal versions, but do not just use it only in and of itself. Some people actually really hate the Message. I've talked to several of my friends, and several of my friends absolutely abhor the Message version of the Bible. So I'm not saying all that. I actually really do like the Message version, but it's not the only version I use, if I use it at all. So that's just something to keep in mind. Another Bible that I have is and this is another NIV version. It is, I think this is actually the 1984 version. The one that did not change the gender neutral language. So this is actually a good version. This is a pink Bible satchel. This is made by Zondervan. So if you want one, go to Zondervan's website and you can find one. It looks kind of like a wallet, and that's something I like about it, is it looks like a wallet. It's kind of discreet, if you will, so it doesn't look like she's got her Bible. Not that I care if people see me with my Bible, but if you just kind of want to be a little bit more discreet, you have a Bible wallet, or if you're going to church for like a conference or something and you don't want to carry a big purse, you can actually put all of your it has a little space in here for your credit cards and cards as well, and there's a little space for your money, like a little wallet as well. So this is a really nice little gift if you are looking to gift it to someone. The inside, let me show you the inside real quick. It's just your typical Bible, NIV. Oop, that's upside down. um, your standard. I forget what they call these, but they're small, and there's different types of Bibles that look like this, and they're small and thin like this, but they're not satchels. I forget what they're called, but it's a typical standard size as those same Bibles are, but it's a satchel. So for girls, this is great. Um, you can do a lot of things with this, and it's very versatile. And I still use this sometimes when I'm just going to church and I don't feel like carrying my purse. I just kind of grab this and go, and you can actually put it around your wrist and hang it like this. It's just a really, really cool little version of the Bible. One of my favorites. I've had this for maybe about a couple of years now. So this is a nice little gift too. This one is my NLT Bible, and believe it or not, I've had this one since my senior year of college, which was about 5 years ago. So it's a little worn. You can see it's kind of getting a little worn on the front. It's got the little flower, and then it's got the yellow band across, and it's just a really soft leather. The back is just the band. And this is the NLT version, the New Living Translation. Now let me talk about the New Living Translation for a minute. I love the New Living Translation. Some people who are more scholarly, academic, don't like the New Living Translation, don't use it, will talk so bad about it, and say, oh, it's too paraphrasic. It's not really that paraphrasic. It's definitely easy to read. It's easier to read than the King James, that's for sure. It's falls kind of right behind the NIV on the spectrum. So when you have the NIV, which was in the middle, so you have, formal equivalents here on the left. You have paraphrasic here on the extreme right. So these are the extremes. In the middle is your dynamic equivalence translations, and those are the translations that kind of try to marry the two as much as they can. So they don't want to be totally formally equivalent, but they don't want to be totally paraphrasic. They want to be readable and able to be understood, but they also want to try to remain as accurate as they can. So those are the three different genres of Bibles that you can obtain. The NLT comes kind of right behind the NLV on that scale, and here in the middle. It is very readable. I love the wording in the NLT. It's something I really enjoy reading. Now, it's good for very good for casual reading, very easy to understand. So if you're a new believer, or you have a friend who's a new believer and you want to get them a Bible, highly recommend either the NIV or the NLT. The NLT is a little bit easier to read, even than the NIV. The NIV is a little bit more further on the left side than the NLT is, but they're very close. NLT is just a little bit easier to read. So I would definitely recommend getting the NLT. If you don't have the NLT, you don't have to get it, but it's such a good translation. I love the way it reads, and it's a good translation. So and it stays pretty accurate. So definitely pair it with some other ones. You don't have to use this only, but I definitely say use the NLT. It's a good version. Okay, now before I get into the next part of my Bibles, because I have many different kinds. Now, some of you may have study Bibles. Some of you may be looking for a new study Bible and kind of wondering what kinds are out there. There's quite a few of them. If you're wondering, well, which one should I get? Which one should I, get in comparison with a translation? Depending on your translation, whatever translation you tend to like best. Some people just really love the New King James. Some people really love the ESV. Some people really love the NIV. Some people really love the NLT. Guess what? They have study Bibles for all of them. So there's a lot out there. There's tons. It can be overwhelming. But I'm going to help you out a little bit. If you are looking for a new study Bible, or you don't even own a study Bible, I highly recommend you get one. Why? There are tons of features in study Bibles. Now, some people don't like commentary in their Bibles because, there's bias and people's thoughts and influence. Okay, all right, sure. But the commentary helps to illuminate the text in a way that maybe I wouldn't understand alone just by reading it. So, one thing I really like about study Bibles is they help you see the text in a new light of itself. So yes, before you read the Bible, and if you really want understanding, pray and ask the Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, please reveal to me what your word says, what you want me to get from this. Yes, the Holy Spirit is the one who reveals all truth and knowledge. But commentaries can definitely help because, I'm hoping that whoever translated this Bible is a credible source, and most of them are, especially the ones that are really out there in the mainstream. These have been vetted, and the people that are reviewing them are credible. So, they may have their own background that impacts the way they add their commentary, but you can't separate that. So it just depends on what you want and what type of translation you want. There are different types of study Bibles. So the first one I want to show you is one of my favorites. Now remember, the NLT is a great, easy to read translation, and it's one of my favorite versions. Now this here is a personal size, so you can see it's not very big. It's kind of a turquoise and a chocolatey combination leather, and this is the back is chocolate, and the front is kind of a mix of chocolate and turquoise. So it's a very pretty Bible. It's small, so it's able to be held easily. It is a bit thick, so it's not something you necessarily want to cart around everywhere you go. I cart it around, but sometimes it gets kind of heavy and weighs things down. So you just decide what day you want to bring it. In this Bible, this is a NLT Life Application Study Bible. Now, I found that this is a very popular translation. I actually had one a couple of years ago, but it was huge. It was like this big, and it was exactly, it was actually thicker than this. And it was just, you cannot carry that around with you. So, and I tend to like, and I found this out about myself, I tend to like Bibles that are more personal size. They're not too big. And they're double columns. I don't like novel style Bibles. And by that, I mean this type of writing. So you can see it's paragraphical. They're not in, for instance, the single columns or the double columns, which I like. It helps me go back and find where in the page I was looking at a verse. It helps me remember where it is. So personally, I prefer the double column text if I can get that. Now I'll read the paragraphical, and those are perfectly fine. But for me, I'm a little picky with that. So that's not something I necessarily like so much. But this is a great Bible. It is a life application Bible. So basically, it has the text, and then at the bottom it has the notes, the study notes. And the study notes are not your typical study Bible notes. So you have study Bible notes in a regular study Bible that just kind of illuminate the text more and tell you, hey, this is what this verse really means, in case you don't really know, and this is what this refers to. So it definitely gives you more information and insight. Whereas the Life Application Study Bible, it does illuminate the text and tell you, hey, this is what's going on, but it also asks you to apply it to your life, and it gives you scenarios on how to apply it to your life. If there's a person in there struggling with a certain sin in the Bible, it'll say, well, how are you struggling with this? And it gives you some very thought-provoking questions that make you apply that verse to your life. So it helps you understand it by the easy to read NLT version, but then it also gives you, it takes it one step further by helping you apply that then to your life. So NLT Life Application Bible, if you're looking for a study Bible, this is a good one to start with. Now, on that same vein, I also have a Chronological Life Application Study Bible. Now, this is a very pretty Bible. It's gorgeous. It's got on the top here this brown. This is all leather, by the way, or soft leather. It's big. It is big and it is thick. So if you get this, you may not want to be carting it around with you, but it's heavy. And it's got the green pattern, and it's got the turquoise, and that's on the front and the back. In this Bible, it has pictures, and who doesn't like pictures? It also has profiles. Look at this. Manasseh, look at him. So up here is the text, and here, I don't know if you can see it, I apologize if you can't, is the profile of Manasseh, and it tells you all about him and gives a little summary of him as well. And then up here is the timeline. Now this Bible is called a Chronological Life Application Study Bible. So you remember what I just told you about this? It is this plus chronological placement of the Bible. So all of the books of the Bible, most of you probably know, are not in the original order. They're not chronologically in the order that they happened. So there's some Bible stories that you may read that may seem a little out of place because you'll go to the next book and you're like, oh wait, didn't this happen before that? So not that that's that big of a deal, but the Bible is not in chronological order. This Bible puts it in chronological order. So you might, let me actually show you here's a version. So in the beginning, so here's a pictures here. There's pictures right here, and this is the Garden of Eden, and there's a little summary in the front, which I love, that gives you a summary in the front, and in the back there's all kinds of, there's maps, and there's also a dictionary and concordance in the back. This one just has a lot of goodies in it, so if you're really looking for a nice, full, rich study Bible that's easy to read, the NLT Life Application Chronological Study Bible is a good resource to have. Here's just another kind of picture of what it looks like as well, so you can see there's so much going on. There's so much going on, but there's so much to learn as well. So hopefully you can see that. This is one of my favorites. I don't use it a whole lot because it like I said, it is very thick, but I do refer to it from time to time, especially if I'm in deep study. And I'm like, okay, well, where did that happen? When did that take place? What Bible book did this come after? And now, this isn't a Bible that you want to take to church with you, because you may be reading in the book of Isaiah and then stumble across the book of Job in the middle of Isaiah, and that's probably a bad example because that's probably not in this Bible, but that's an example of what can happen. Especially with the Gospels, because the Gospels are so similar, but there's certain events that happen in Mark that also happened in John right around the same time, and then they put them literally in chronological order in the verses. So you can be reading John and then also come across a Mark verse in the middle, but then continue with John. So you probably don't want to read this in church because it can be a bit all over the place, because it is very true to the chronological. Well, this happened first, this happened right after that. So one book may collide with another one. So just be prepared with that, for that. Along with the ESV. The ESV has the ESV Study Bible out. Now, some of you may have heard of that. It's a very popular study Bible that's been out. And I have one. This is the ESV Study Bible. It's actually they're about the same size, the NLT Life Application and the ESV Study Bible. So if you're looking to compare, they're about the same. They are similarly as thick as the other, so they're about as thick. This one looks a little thicker, actually. The ESV Study Bible is a good Bible. I used it for a while. Something that kind of turned me off, and I just told you this, is I don't like the paragraphical format. So it's built like a novel, like it's supposed to read like a story. Now, some of you might like that, and that's, great, a great feature if you do. I personally am a little old school when it comes to that. I like the columns. But if you like novel layout, knock yourself out. It has in the beginning, it has the introduction, so it has maps as well as pictures that help kind of illuminate the stories even more. I apologize for the lighting. And then they have the introductions. So, the introductions at the beginning that tell you about, where it's taking place chronologically, who are the characters in that book, and so on and so forth. It has a concordance in the back. It has the maps, the standard maps, abbreviations. Here's your maps. So it's got a lot of the same features as the NLT, but they are different, just depending on what you're looking for. So these are very thick study Bibles, but they're small, they're personal size, so they're not huge. I like the smaller size personally myself. Another study Bible I have is the Spirit-Filled Life Bible. Now, this actually was my father's. My father passed away when I was 15. He was a pastor of a church in Virginia, and he was an amazing man, very gifted spiritually, and very attuned to things in the spirit. So he had a Spirit-Filled Life Bible. He had a ton of Bibles, and I think I probably got my love of Bibles from him, honestly, because he had a ton of Bibles, all different kinds of features. Now, the Spirit-Filled Life Bible, for those of you who may be a little bit more on the charismatic side, this has principles within it that talk about the kingdom dynamics, and you can kind of see the writing. My dad actually wrote a bit in this Bible, his notes and underlined things. It also has the study notes down here below that kind of illuminate the text. So this one doesn't have as many features as those other Bibles I just showed you, but it does have some nice little, and they also have these little features as well, truth and actions, and they go through some of the verses and give you scenarios and just help you understand a little bit more. So that's the Spirit-Filled Life Bible, and it is the New King James Version, and I actually got turned off to, once I stopped reading the King James, I kind of got turned off to King James altogether, but I actually started excuse me, sorry, I actually started liking the New King James not too long ago, a couple of years ago, and it actually turned me back on to the King James, but New King James, not the regular King James, New King James. And so I actually really liked how it read in this one. So I was like, I like this version. I read from it from time to time, but that is my dad's, and I do look at it every once in a while. On that same note, with New King James Study Bibles, I want to show you this one. This is a very pretty Bible. It's like a lilac plum color. It's a soft, very soft leather, and it's got floral patterns on the back and the front. It's relatively thin. It's got the silver lining on the side. This one actually just came in the mail today, so I literally just opened it a couple hours ago. The pages are still kind of sticking together. That's how new it is. This is a New King James Version, by the way. A lot of people like the New King James, and I actually do. Like I said, I do like this version. It does maintain its poeticness and kind of the truthness there to the original King James, but it corrects a lot of the problems that were had in the King James. One thing I like about this one is this is a women's study Bible. So if you have different types of Bibles, have more than one translation. Definitely have more than one. Don't just have one version. Second, try to get a study Bible. Have a study Bible. You don't have to have as many as I do. Have one that you can go to for additional reference and highlights in Scripture. It's a very helpful tool. And then also have a small compact Bible so that you can carry around, take with you, and travel. Those are the three types of Bibles. There's those three things that I say that you need to have when it comes to Bible. And now you can do what you want, but if you're looking for a new type of Bible, if you're looking for a new type of format of a Bible, just keep those things in mind. Now this Bible has, it's a woman's Bible, so it has scriptures and kind of profiles specifically for women, to help women. I don't think you could see that very well, but those are some of the features here. It breaks down the scriptures as well. It kind of gives you a woman's perspective and helps you see if you're a woman. I ordered this one from this version with this. I ordered this one just very recently. Oh, from Christian Bookstore, from ChristianBooks.com. I get a lot of Bibles from them. They have some good Bibles. So, and it smells really nice too. So, this is if you're a New King James Version fan and you like the New King James, check out this type. And it's, I guess it's kind of a personal size. It's not as small as say my Elevation Bible, which is a little smaller, but it's still a good size. It's not overly big, which I like. So that's a good thing as well. The next one I have is the Everyday Life Bible. This is actually by Joyce Meyer. This is a pink kind of alligator leather type cover, and it's pretty thick. I actually put those tabs on it myself, so it did not come with that. And this is it's kind of a study Bible, but then not really. So it doesn't have as much of the features as the other Bibles I showed you, but it does have some sections where she talks to you. So let's see. Here's an example. Some features where she does break down certain scriptures. So she doesn't go into depth on all of the scriptures, but she'll give her commentary on some of it. So it's got commentary from Joyce Meyer. If you're a Joyce Meyer fan, check this Bible out. Now, this is the Amplified version. The Amplified version is a great version of the Bible. I really like the Amplified. If you are someone who you like to dig deeper than just the text, and you like to understand more than just the simple sentences that they go across, Amplified is a really great version that I highly recommend you have at least one Amplified copy in your arsenal. The Amplified uses a lot of words to help you better understand what the text is trying to convey. The one downside to that is that the Amplified does get very wordy. So if you're just reading for leisure, unless you like to read a lot of words all the time, you may not want to use this as your leisurely reading. I use it more so when I want to get deeper into the Word of God, and when I'm reading in other translations, and I'm like, I wonder what the Amplified says about that, and it sometimes brings it that much more to light that kind of just hits you, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I have to take a step back. But I love the way that they word things in the Amplified. Just amplifies the scripture, and it's great. So like one example of this is Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God, and in parentheses they have prepared, formed, fashioned, and created the heavens and the earth. Now, obviously, in the original, it just says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's very flat, straight there. But if you read in the Amplified, they give you several more words to help you better understand what it's saying. So not just prepared, but he also formed and fashioned and created, So they put them in parentheses so you know that they're not part of the text, so don't freak out. But it does help you better understand the text without having to have a concordance. So it's kind of like having a mini concordance already put into the scriptures, and that's another reason why I like this Bible. And it's really pretty, so girls, if you want a new one, check this one out. Alright, the next one I have here, I actually got as a graduation present, and this is an Apologetics Study Bible. So, and this is a Holman Christian Standard Bible. And this is actually the only version I have of the Holman Bible. I have actually given away several copies. I have so many Bibles, I do. But I've actually given a lot away, so don't freak out. I've given a ton of Bibles away, and I love giving Bibles away to people who genuinely will use them. But this is a Holman Standard Bible. Now, this is what I love about this one. It's an Apologetics Study Bible. Now, I really like apologetics, and for those of you who aren't familiar with apologetics, that is basically defense of the scriptures. It's defense of the Christian faith. Another great thing about this Bible, it has built-in tabs. Apologetics Study Bible, people. This is a bonded leather. It's genuine leather, so it's a little bit more on the pricey side, but it's a very, very good Bible. Here's the front if you want to look at that. So it's just helping you better understand what you believe, why you believe it, and how to give a better response to it if someone was to come and confront you about it. Now, here's an example. They have articles in here by various well-known apologists. that talk about some very hard questions that you might confront as a Christian. And they talk about, well, how do you confront this? Here's the answer. Here's how you answer it. They talk about these very controversial issues, and it's just really nice to see because, a lot of times we'll encounter people and not really know how to talk about certain issues in the public and in the public eye. So it's just really helpful to see that illuminated, see the scriptures illuminated in a better way, in a different way, and helping you really understand what you believe and why you believe it. So Apologetics Study Bible, highly recommend you get one. This big one right here is my Keyword Study Bible, and it's the NASB, New American Standard. So the New American Standard, as I told you earlier, is a very literal word-for-word translation, so it's very, very accurate, as they are saying, on the market. This one does not have tabs, but the cool thing about this one is it does have Study Bible notes at the bottom that you can see here. So, let's see. So you have, I apologize if the lighting's bad, but anyway, they have Study Bible notes here at the end of the text. And also, you can see if I can show this to you. In the text, there's certain words that are underlined. And the ones that are underlined are the key words that you can study. Now you can, in the back of the Bible, you can actually go and look up what that word means in the Hebrew and see all of the different definitions for that word. So if you are reading, so here in Proverbs, wine is a mocker, strong drink a brawler. So mocker is underlined, and you would take the number and you would go to the back of the book and you find mocker, the number here, and it would tell you the different definitions and the different words that also can be associated with that and just help you get a better understanding. And one thing I love about the Hebrew language is it's so versatile. There's so many different layers to it. It's a very layered language. So it doesn't just mean one thing. Most words in Hebrew don't just mean just one thing. They mean several things. So take shalom, for example. We hear shalom and we think, oh, that's just peace. Well, it does mean peace, but it doesn't just mean peace. It has so many other definitions to it. It means wholeness. It means eradication of all evil in your life. That is really what shalom means. Completeness, complete wholeness, the presence of everything good, if you think about it that way. So the Hebrew language is so deep, it's so intense, and I love the Hebrew language. I'm getting ready to get into my other types of Bibles next. But, this Bible will help you get a deeper understanding of those words. It takes you into the Hebrew key words in the Hebrew and the Greek, and it shows you this is what it says in the Greek, and this is what this word really means. So it just illuminates the word in a much deeper way. So if you were looking for a deeper study and you don't want to invest in a whole lot of concordances, and you don't want to invest in a ton of money trying to learn Hebrew and Greek, just get one of the Hebrew Greek study Bibles, keyword study Bibles, and just learn what those words mean and on your own terms. Now, just a little preface before I get into these next Bibles. A couple of years ago, I actually started a journey. I am a Christian, but I kind of joke and say that I kind of have a little bit of a Messianic bend to me. Which means I'm a Christian, but I identify with some of the Messianic perspectives of the scriptures. Meaning, I love the Jewish culture. I love learning the Hebraic roots, and I just really felt a drive to learn more of the Hebraic roots of my belief as a Christian. We are grafted in. We are the one new man through Christ. And I think it's important for all Christians to, at some point in your walk, do a little bit of research on the origins of your belief. Jesus was Jewish. And so it's really cool to go back and see, okay, well, what Bible did he read? Which was the Old Testament or the Tanakh. You know, a lot of us tend to stay in the New Testament because, oh, that's Jesus and Jesus, 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 everything Jesus, which is great. But the Old Testament has some really great principles as well, and it has riches all throughout the Old Testament that I would, I spend a lot of time in the Old Testament as well. I really like Old Testament books in addition to the New Testament. So if you're a Christian and you haven't really explored that side so much, I highly encourage you to take a walk down that road and just kind of learn the Hebraic roots of your faith. So on my journey with this, I was really beginning to look for a Bible that had. I really love the name Yahweh, and Jews don't say that name. Obviously, they replace it with Adonai or Lord. Sometimes they'll say Elohim or Hashem, which means the unspoken name. So they won't ever, an Orthodox Jewish person will not ever utter the word Yahweh. And there's this whole debate on how do you spell Yahweh and how you really pronounce it. I don't get into all that. I just spell it the traditional way, Yahweh. And that's with the vowels added, because in the Hebrew they only had the words without the vowels. So YHWH or Yod He Vod He, which is, we later interpreted it as Yahweh. So that's his name. That's God's name, and I love that name. So I really wanted to find a Bible that introduced that put that in the Bible. All of our Bibles today, especially in our Protestant side of the Bibles, they only say Lord or God. They never say Yahweh. And I think only in Exodus will they really say Yahweh. Maybe in a couple other places in the Bible, but you don't really see Yahweh ever said in the Bible other than Exodus. And so I really wanted a Bible that said that, if I could find one. So in my journey, I stumbled across this Bible called the Scriptures. Now, this was printed by the Institute for Scripture Research. It's not a very big publication, as you can see. This Bible is not all. So, by the way, I wanted to be able to read this Bible. I wanted a Bible that was true to the Hebraic roots, but was not all in Hebrew, because I can't read Hebrew. So I wanted to be able to read it in English, but I wanted it to kind of marry with the Jewish understanding of the Bible. So I found the Scriptures, and this is that translation by the Institute for Scripture Research. It is a good translation. In this Bible, they switch the names of the Bible from what we're used to. So if you're used to Genesis, they switch it to Bereshith. But what I love about it is that they don't just completely take it out. So on one side, let's see if we can see this. Up here, it says Genesis. Up here, if you can see it, it says Bereshith. So if you're not familiar with Bereshith, you can look over here and see it says Genesis. So you can't get lost. They also replace the word Lord. A lot of the words that they think were pagan, they replace with their Hebrew words. So the Old Testament is the Tanakh, or the law, the teaching. So in the Tanakh is the Old Testament, and it's split up into 3 sections. So that's the teaching, the Torah, the Nevi'im, the prophets, and the Ketuvim, which are the writings. And so the order is not in our traditional order that we're used to either. So that's a tricky part of reading it, is the Old Testament they put in a different order based on prophets and writings and law, which are Torah. So the first 5 books of the Bible, and then from there it switches to their version of the order of the Bibles. So if you're a Christian, it can be a little challenging to learn that, because you grow up reading the Bibles in a certain order. And so for me, it's been a little challenging, because I still don't know the Jewish order, but I know, okay, wait, that's not where it's supposed to be, where I'm used to being. Let me go to the table of contents and find it. But they switch out the names that we're used to, and they put the Hebrew names in it. And what I love about this Bible is they switch the name of Yahweh to the Hebrew script there. Okay, yeah, there. And that's Yahweh in the Hebrew. So, and they also switch Yeshua, which is Jesus. They put his name in the New Testament You can see it sort of right there. That's Yeshua, and that's the Hebrew. And there are maps in the back, but they show kind of a different map than we're used to. And they have some really cool pictures back here as well, showing like the Ark of the Covenant, and then here you have the high priest, and they show all of his garments, and then up here, you see the high priest washing his hands, and it just has some really cool imagery here that we're not used to seeing in our Bible. So there's some really cool stuff in this book. Now with the scriptures, the one thing that's hard about this Bible is sometimes they translate so many of the words into their Hebrew form that and they have a glossary in the back, so if you're not sure what it means, you can go and find out what it means. But I find it becomes cumbersome doing that. So it's not really for leisurely reading. Like if I really want to study deeper into the scriptures and see what the original Hebrew said, I will come to this or another translation that's sort of like this. So I continued my search to see if I could find one that was just a little bit more readable than that particular version. Now, also in my search for this, I came across this version, the Halleluyah Scriptures. Now, there's an interesting story behind this one. This is basically this. They are practically identical, except for a few wording differences. They are essentially the same book. There's a few wording differences in this one that are not in that one, but basically there's a kind of a little bit of a stigma behind this one for some Christian circles who've reviewed it, that the Institute for Scriptural Research, and they are a legitimate company, that they, well, let me back up. Okay, so the Halleluyah Scriptures is made by a Jewish publication, or Messianic Jews, I guess, and they specialize in printing out these Bibles, and they give them away for free. And if you go to their website, you can request one for free. This is the version they have for free. There's other versions that they have that are not free, that are a lot nicer, but you have to pay an absurd amount of money for them. Now, they basically took the scriptures and made their own version and tweaked it just a little bit in some areas. Now, I don't really read from this too much, if at all. I'm a collector, so that's what I collect. That's what I do. So, but occasionally I'll look through here, and there's some, the way it's printed is a little easier to read than in the scriptures version. So that's cool. Now, the main difference here is, and you can see here, this is the name of God in Paleo Hebrew. So it's not the regular Hebrew script that's in this one. It's Paleo Hebrew. And so they believe that this is a superior version to this one because they have the Paleo Hebrew instead of the regular script text of the Hebrew. So they believe that that's the original Hebrew that God himself wrote on the Ten Commandments. So they consider their version to be much more superior. Now, they also have a glossary in the back as well to help you interpret the words. Their maps are not in color because this is it's a less, it's not quite as, they don't have as many resources to work with as the scriptures do. But they do have one map here. It's in black and white. The cover is kind of almost like a plasticky covering, it's like a plastic cover covering just a paperback purple color. Now, I actually really like the color of the Bible, and I really like the feel of the Bible. It feels really cool. Some people who are in certain circles will rave about this version. Honestly, if they took from what these guys did and just made it their own, I don't find it to be the most reliable source. But for some who go out there and read these, it's fine. It is what it is. They also, one thing that's also cool is they sent you this. They sent me this, the name meanings. Oh, by the way, if you go to their website and you want to get one for free, please keep in mind you're not going to get one for free. You're just not. I initially sent some money in to purchase one because they need people to donate and help them purchase the resources to make them. I sent in some money, and basically it wasn't enough money. So they basically denied my request for the Bible and sent my money back. I didn't like that too much, and that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. But I was determined to get one, so I sent a little bit more money the next time, and they finally sent me one. So I have one, so in your face, but yeah, I like it for the most part. It does have the Paleo Hebrew, so it has Yahweh in the Paleo Hebrew in the Old Testament, and it has Yeshua in the Paleo Hebrew in the New Testament, just the same as the Scriptures does. They also sent you a name meaning pamphlet, and it has just more of the Hebrew words and their definitions as well. So that's cool. In addition to these versions of the Bible, the more Hebrew restored names is a restored name Bible. So if you're looking for a restored name Bible and you want to get more into your Hebrew roots, check out restored name Bibles, and that this one will probably be one of the ones that comes up instantaneously. So now this brings me to one of my favorite Bibles. In my search for this restored name / Hebraic roots Bible, I discovered this. The Messianic Family Jewish Bible, Jewish Family Bible. It is the Tree of Life version. Now, this is a brand new translation. It came out in 2012, I believe, 2012, 2013, around that time. So this is brand new. It is a Messianic translation. It's one of the first of its kind. Now, basically, this translation, they equated it to being as accurate as the NASB on the left side, but being as readable as the NIV and as reverent as the KJV. So, if you're wondering how in the world could they do that, what Bible could they do that? Apparently, they've done it. They've accomplished this goal. So this is a combination of everything. It's accurate, it's readable, it's reverent. One thing I like about this is they keep the Hebrew idioms here. Now, this was created by a team of about 70 plus scholars, and these are Messianic scholars and Christian scholars as well, who came together to create this version of the Bible because they felt that for those who are Messianic, they don't have their own version. They don't have, those who they believe in Yeshua, but they don't necessarily want to read just a Christian version of the Bible. They want a Hebrew version of the Bible as well, but also be able to share in the Christian roots, the Christian side, but not be completely Christian. So they came up with a Messianic version of the Bible, and that became the Tree of Life version. I highly recommend you check this version out. This has become probably my favorite Bible. This is like my favorite Bible. I read from it all the time. It has a green leather color. It's very soft. It actually has two bookmarks, so you can highlight two areas in the Bible. And the greatest thing about this Bible, now this is the Family Bible. This Bible, let me show it to you. This Bible has Messianic illustrations. So check this out. This is the first chapter of John. The Word became flesh. So in the scripture where it says, and in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word became flesh and tabernacled among us. This picture, created by Michael Washer. Michael Washer. He is a Messianic artist, and he created these illustrations to put in with this Bible, so it helps the words come to life even that much more. I like pictures. Who doesn't like pictures? But it's specifically, they had the family in mind, so that you can read the Bible with children, and children could get into it as well, and having the pictures be there for them as well as the family to enjoy. So I got this Bible about a year ago when I discovered it. And I was like, okay, I have to get this Bible. I have another review on my channel. If you want more details about this Bible, check out that video. It is one of my favorite Bibles. It is bendable as well. That's another good side. It's very soft, it's sturdy, and it's beautiful. So if you want the illustrations, get the family version of the Bible. If you don't really want pictures and you don't care, you just want the Tree of Life version, get the Seed version of the Bible. And you can find that on their website, the Messianic Jewish Family Bible Society website. They sell all of those versions. So take a look, go check them out. If you want to get a Hebrew version of the Bible, but you don't want something that's quite as hard to read as this, get this. This reads just as easily as the NIV. I mean, and they keep the Hebrew idioms. If you want that Jewish flavor, but you still want to be able to read it and not struggle with the text, this is it. They've accomplished that. At the very back of the Bible, now they do switch out some words to the Hebrew, but not as many as the Scriptures does. So you still know what you're reading. You don't have to keep referring back to every other word. You still know what you're reading. And for those words that you don't, you're learning Hebrew at the same time. You're going back and so they say Adonai instead of Lord. They say Yeshua instead of Jesus, and they switch that out. They say Messiah instead of Christ. Mary's real name was not Mary. It was Miriam, and they switch it to Miriam in this Bible. They also switch the names to the original names as well in the New Testament. So the book of James is not James. James was actually Jacob, and they switched that there. So you see where they correct a lot of the things that some of the Protestant versions kind of got a little wrong, and they get it right. Now, there's by no means is this a perfect translation. You know, there is no perfect translation. Out of all the Bibles I've shown you, none of them are perfect. But this has just accomplished pretty much everything that I've been looking for. Now, the one thing I really wish that they had done with this Bible is have said Yahweh instead of Adonai. In some cases in the Bible, Adonai is still proper, but Yahweh is used a lot as well. So I really would have liked to have seen them do that. And they actually put a disclaimer in the front of the Bible and explain why they didn't. They basically did not want to offend their Jewish brethren that they're trying to reach out to with this Bible. So those who are becoming converted from Judaism, they did not want to offend them by using the sacred name of God. So that's why they didn't do that. But other than that, I really enjoy this version. So I would definitely say, if you're looking for a new Bible, you're a Christian, and you want to learn more from a Jewish flavor, but not be so overwhelmed with the Jewish flavor that you can't read it all, you can't understand what you're reading, check this one out. I highly, highly recommend this one. I have a couple other ones here that are just as neat. This one is the Delitzsch Hebrew Gospels. Now this is kind of a brown leather, and it's got gold trim text on the front. Now this one is true to the Hebrew as well, but it is only the Gospels. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They don't go beyond that. They also use the Hebrew names in the Bible. So instead of Matthew, it is Mattai. Instead of Mark, it's Marcos. Instead of Luke, it's Lucas. And instead of John, it's Johannan. So you're seeing that. But this is actually kind of an interlinear, if you will. They give you the Hebrew text here, and then the English text. You can see it. Okay, maybe you can't really see it here. So, and they also have little footnotes over here to the side that help you better understand what you're reading. The wording in it is really cool. I really like the way it reads. And I also can see on the side, okay, this is what the Hebrew says as well, even though I can't read it, but it's just really cool to see it anyway. This one also reads from right to left. So we're very used to reading from left to right, but this one reads the opposite way, and that's the Jewish standard way of their texts, is they read from the opposite end than we do. So so that is the Delitzsch Hebrew Gospels. I don't really reference this one a whole lot. Oh, check out the binding. The binding is really beautiful as well. I don't reference this one a whole lot, mainly because they only do the Gospels, but it is a Hebrew English translation. So if you're looking for that and you want to read the Gospels, check this one out. It's a really good one as well. I actually just got two new translations that I've been wanting for, well, this one I've been wanting for a while. I got this for Christmas, and this is the Complete Jewish Bible by David Stern. Now, this one, I would venture to say, is pretty much identical to this one. These are very, very, very similar in their wording style. And basically, he replaced all of the English words with the Hebrew words. It's still in English, so you can read it. You can still read it, but it has a lot of the Jewish flavor. So a lot of Messianic Jews will use this version because it stays real thick to the Jewish side of things. If you're a Christian, you can definitely get some enjoyment out of reading this as well. But a lot of Jewish people who come to know Christ or become Messianic, I see a lot of them read from this version. So this is kind of their version of the Bible. This one's been around for a while now. The TLV is a little bit more Christian friendly than this one is. If you're a Christian, this one is definitely easier to read than this one. But and this one is also brand spanking new, so a lot of people aren't even aware of this version, but I say get it. I've been like promoting the word because I love this version. This one is a good version and I enjoy it. I do refer to it when I'm doing some in-depth study and to see what the Hebrew originally said and their syntax there. But it is hard to read casually. I can't just read it casually. I have to definitely do a little bit more in-depth study with it. And then there's a key in the back as well, an index and key that breaks down the Hebrew words. So all of these Hebrew Bibles do have a glossary or index in the back. So if you're not sure what that word means, you can refer to that and educate yourself. All right, now the last one here I have here, I know I've kept you here for a long time, so check out the comments below. This is a long video. I'm sorry if I've taken up too much of your time, but just go to the sections that only appeal to you if that's what you like. So this last one I have is a treasure. It's really a treasure. I got this for Christmas. Someone gave this to me. They are currently stationed in Bahrain, and they got this from Jerusalem. Now, this is an Arabic Bible. This is Jerusalem wood, made in Jerusalem, grown in Jerusalem and made in Jerusalem. The binding it's kind of a leather binding, but it's got, the Arabic script here. The back also has, it's upside down. The same as the front in the Jerusalem wood. And what I love so much about this one is it has these cool little buttons on the front. And they have pictures of like Jesus and the apostles and the saints. So they're almost like, I don't know how to describe this. They're kind of a plastic color, so they kind of look like those rosary beads, those rosary bracelets people wear with the saint pictures on them. It looks like that. This is a very, very beautiful Bible. Now check this out. This is an Arabic Bible. So guess what? It's all in Arabic, which means I can't read a lick of it. But it is cool nonetheless. So here you can see the Arabic text. So if you're Arabic and you're reading this now, maybe you can tell me what this says. It's all in Arabic. All of it's in Arabic. There is no English in this Bible. It is Arabic script. Well, there's English a little bit in the back, but Arabic everywhere, all throughout. Arabic. So I can't read it, but I have tons of other Bibles, so clearly I know what the Bible says. This is more of a collector's item than anything else, and I would say this is my favorite treat that I got for Christmas. I got many different things for Christmas, but this has been by far the most beautiful that I've received, and I really am very appreciative of that. I just have such a love for Bibles and the different kinds that are out there. I've been watching several documentaries on the history of the Bible, and it's just so interesting to see how God has, throughout history, preserved His Word. It will not return void. He has spoken throughout history, and His Word continues to live. It's a living Word. No matter what I read, no matter what version of the Bible I read, in whatever season, I can get something from each of them at different times in my life. And so someone might say, oh, you have too many Bibles. I don't think there is such a thing. I think I love the Word of God, and I love reading it in different ways, in different versions, different features. I love the versatility of that. And I continue to grow in my understanding of the Bible and the different ones that are out there. So if you are looking for a new Bible, I definitely encourage you to do your research, do your homework. Don't take my word for it, but hopefully this video has been helpful to you to help you better understand and get a better idea of what all is out there and what kind of Bible you might want to get if you don't already have a ton, like myself, already. So if you have any other questions and you just want to talk about Bibles or translations or anything like that, and you just want to talk like on the surface there, feel free to leave a comment and send me your email and we can just chat. I've had many conversations with people about different Bibles. I've given away several Bibles. I really want to get, probably the next Bible I get, I really want to get the Geneva Bible. That's the Bible of the Pilgrims, and that was actually used by Shakespeare. It was used by John Bunyan, the writer of the Pilgrim's Progress, and was the standardized Bible for the Pilgrims who came over here in the 17th century. So I really, I'm going to continue to move forward, and I need to slow down on buying Bibles. I really have a problem. It's a bit of an impulse. But if you come across any new Bibles that maybe I haven't heard of, leave a comment and let me know what you have. Let me know what you found. And I would love to research that and, delve deeper into what else is available. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And also that other ESV Bible that I have, I'm giving away. So if you want that, just leave a comment and I'll email you and we'll get that sent to you. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.